Nathan Parker never expected to inherit anything, let alone a farmhouse on the outskirts of Raven Hollow. His uncle, Howard Parker, had lived there alone for decades, a recluse in a town that whispered his name with caution. Nathan barely knew the man. His father had cut ties years ago, calling his brother obsessed with things no sane person should meddle with. When the will was read, Nathan was the only name listed to receive the property. "Sell it," his father warned. "That place is cursed." Nathan laughed it off. Superstitions didn't pay the bills, and he needed the money. A quick renovation and resale could earn him a fortune. But the moment he arrived, he felt something was off. The house was too quiet. Even in the middle of the day, the air hung thick and heavy, muffling every sound. The fields stretched endlessly, but there were no birds, no rustling leaves, just silence. And then there was the shed, small, wooden, and crumbling from years of neglect. It stood at the far edge of the property, like an uninvited guest. The moment Nathan saw it, his stomach clenched. Carved into the door, barely visible beneath layers of peeling paint, were 3 words: "Do not open." Part 2. The first night that night, the wind howled against the farmhouse walls, creeping through the broken window frames. Nathan lay awake, staring at the ceiling. He wasn't sure why, but sleep refused to come. Then he heard it: clink, clank, chains. The sound drifted through the night air, slow and deliberate, like someone dragging heavy links across a wooden floor. Nathan sat up, his breath shallow. It was coming from the shed. Grabbing a flashlight, he stepped outside. The grass was cold beneath his feet, damp with night moisture. The air smelled like old wood and something faintly metallic like rust or blood. As he neared the shed, the sound stopped. He hesitated. Then, before his better judgment could stop him, he grabbed the handle and pulled the door open. Inside, the darkness swallowed his flashlight beam. Dust hung in the air, disturbed only by the faint movement of something shifting in the corner. And then he saw it. Chains. They lay in a heap on the wooden floor, rusted, corroded, moving. Nathan's pulse pounded. "Hello!" Silence. Then a whisper so close it sent ice down his spine. "Help me!" The chains lunged. Nathan stumbled backward, heart racing as the metal links whipped toward him, clanking violently against the wooden floor. The shed door slammed shut, and the air turned ice cold. A faint outline appeared in the darkness, a figure crouched in the corner, bound in iron. Nathan didn't stick around. He turned and ran. Part 3. The town secret. The next morning, Nathan drove into town. He needed answers. At the diner, he found Martha Wilkes, an old waitress who had lived in Raven Hollow her whole life. When he mentioned the shed, the color drained from her face. "You saw them, didn't you?" she whispered. Nathan frowned. "That—" She hesitated, glancing around as if making sure no one was listening. Then she leaned in. "The chains. They hold something. Something Howard put there." Nathan's stomach churned. "What do you mean?" Martha sighed. "Your uncle. He wasn't crazy. He was keeping something locked away. Something that doesn't belong in this world." Nathan felt a chill crawl down his spine. "Every night, people hear the chains. Every night, it tries to get out," Martha continued. "Your uncle was the only one who knew how to keep it bound." Nathan swallowed hard, and now that he's gone, Martha looked at him with a grave expression. Now I want someone new. Part 4. The second night Nathan returned to the farmhouse, but something inside him had changed. He couldn't ignore the shed anymore. That night, he set up a camera, determined to capture whatever was happening. He sat by the window, eyes locked on the shed, waiting. At exactly 3:13 a.m., the rattling began. His camera picked up movement. The chains were moving on their own. The door creaked open slightly, revealing a pair of sunken, hollow eyes staring out from the darkness. Nathan's breath hitched. He knew he should run, but something compelled him forward. As he stepped outside, the whisper returned. "Help me!" He reached for the shed door. The moment his fingers touched the wood, a violent force yanked him inside. The door slammed shut. The camera outside recorded everything. Part 5. The next morning when Nathan's father arrived 3 days later, the house was empty. No sign of Nathan. The only thing left behind was his camera, lying in the grass near the shed. He picked it up, hands shaking, and pressed play. The last footage showed Nathan stepping into the shed. The door slammed shut. Then silence. Minutes passed. And then the whisper. I took his place. The final frame showed the door slowly creaking open. And standing there was Nathan. But something was wrong. His face was too pale. His smile too wide. His eyes completely black. The footage cut to static. Epilogue. The new keeper Nathan never left the shed. Not really. Now, at night, when the wind howls through the trees of Raven Hollow, you can still hear the rattling chains. And if you listen closely, you'll hear a voice whispering from the darkness. Help me, but don't go near, because if you do, you'll never leave.